Welcome to You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband, a modern day love story. I am Remy Stern. I'm a relationship coach, and we are going to talk all things relationships, from being single to dating to being engaged, married. Who you marry is the most important decision you will ever make.
If you're looking for a wife, which is a beautiful thing to do, the best thing to do is to choose wisely.
If you're thinking, what am I doing wrong? Everybody else has it right. Then you are in the right place, because trust me, nobody knows what they're doing. I'm so excited. Please hop right in, listen to this episode, listen to this series, and we are so excited that you are joining us here. Welcome back to You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband. Today we have Ilana Dunn on the podcast, and she is somebody I respect so much. She has a podcast, Seeing Other People, that has been featured in the New York Times, as well as she has a podcast, Life in Progress. She is one of the coolest people I have ever met. I'm so lucky that we finally got to connect in person, and we became very fast friends. And in today's episode, she talks about how to choose yourself in the dating process, and then how to choose somebody and be able to communicate your needs and to really show up for yourself in order to find your person. She tells her story of when she was dating and how she met her fiancé, and just really gives us such beautiful insight into the world of dating. And so it is a really extra special episode. I can't wait for you guys to listen. So hop right in and enjoy. Okay, we are so excited to have Ilana on today. And this is like a professional. She has 2 podcasts, not only 2 podcasts, 3 episodes a week. How? Nobody knows. That's crazy talk, but bravo to you. So Ilana, welcome to You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband. Tell us just a little bit about yourself, just a quick overview if people don't know you already, which they will very soon. Tell us about yourself.
First of all, thank you guys for having me. I can already tell that by the end of this, my face is going to hurt from smiling because we're already getting there and this hasn't even really started yet. So very excited to be here. Yeah, I host Seeing Other People, which is a dating and relationships podcast. I also host Life in Progress. I co-host Life in Progress with my best friend, Carly Silverman. And that one's more of like adulting, career, friendship, life in your 20s, all that stuff. And I've been in the dating space for a while now. I started out, I was running Hinge's social media for a little over 2 years and really fell in love with connecting with other people and commiserating over how difficult dating really is. And the more I learned, the more people started coming to me for help with their dating app profiles, their dating lives, their dating disasters. And I really just became passionate about helping people not necessarily date better, but helping people feel less alone in their dating lives. And a side effect of that was people dating better.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. And you made a podcast while you were at Hinge, you just told me.
I did.
And that like sums it all up. What was it called?
It was called Dating Sucks.
And it's so fascinating because, you know, I work with a lot of women who are dating and they come to me and they're like, dating sucks, right? And it's kind of like You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband, where like, that's how people are feeling. But I'm assuming for you as well, making them feel less alone also means, what if you could kind of like start enjoying the process of like even the sucky parts of it? Like with marriage, like get ready. There are some moments in marriage that are less enjoyable. There's a million enjoyable parts of marriage, right?
Thank you, honey.
But there are some that are less enjoyable. But then like now that we've kind of made it a joke, we enjoy the less enjoyable and the enjoyable. So same for dating. So you had this idea that you wanted people to feel less alone. Can you actually tell us about yourself, like pre-Jake? Now you're engaged.
Yes.
Now you run an entire business. You're kind of like the dream of a single person who maybe doesn't like their job so much, I don't know, and wants to be doing something meaningful. Like what was life like before this whole business and Hinge and before Jake?
People now will see me post an Instagram story or a picture with Jake, or they'll see me give advice if they don't know me, where I'm saying like, oh, like do these things, follow your heart, like trust your gut, it's going to work out. And they'll comment like, well, that's easy for you to say because you're engaged and you found your person. And I never want anybody to look at my content and think that, because I went through hell and
Mhm.
back when I was single. Like, I got my heart broken so many times. I was cheated on. I had a really traumatic relationship. I was in situation after situationship, got ghosted more times than I could count, like kept going after people who were never going to want to date me. I did it all.
Mhm.
And it took a lot of making mistakes, but learning from them. It took a lot of feeling like I was so heartbroken I couldn't get out of bed. Like, I would get sent home from work because I was crying
Mhm.
about boys.
Yeah.
And my boss would be
I
like, Lana, you're not okay. Go home. So
from Hinge?
not from Hinge.
Oh.
This was pre-Hinge.
Okay.
I actually worked in the music industry, and a lot of these guys were also guys who were
You were dating?
involved in the music industry.
Okay.
Don't recommend that.
Dating.
Yeah. Yes. We've all heard the phrase, don't shit where you eat.
Yeah, it's true.
Really don't. Don't
Oh.
even pee where you eat. Like,
Nothing.
It's not worth it. But yeah, so I went through a lot.
Mhm.
I learned a lot, but I think the biggest lesson is like we all feel like we're so alone. And when we're going through something, we feel like nobody's ever felt this pain. No one could possibly understand how I'm feeling right now. No one's ever been in this situation. But the truth is, this is like
Mhm.
weird to say, but it's kind of comforting if you think about it. Like, we've never had a unique experience in our lives. And that's actually kind of beautiful because that means there are so many people who can actually relate and understand and empathize with what you're going through and help you with it. And so I really made it a mission to not only share my stories, but also create a platform where other people can share theirs.
It's beautiful. I love it. And I always say that the challenges that you go through are your greatest opportunity for growth, especially if you do something to help others with it, right? So I'm the only weirdo in the world who will go through something painful and challenging, and I'll have anxiety and sadness. And I'm like, wonderful. Like, this is market research for who I'm going to help, hopefully, with next week. Like, I know someone's going to come to me, and it's so weird. It's very weird that I'll go through it. And I kid you not, I'll have a client come to me the next week going through it. I'm like, well, hello, universe. You must have planted that so I can help this person. And if, let's say, you're in the single time and experiencing these hard things, like, what if every heartbreak you're experiencing, all of this is to lead you to the best person possible? And like Jonathan actually said something this weekend. Now we're like geeks, and on our way to dinner, we talk about the podcast and we just have so much fun with it. But, often, and I felt like into this, I don't know if you did at any point, but like I wanted it now, I was like, I've been through heartbreak. Same thing. The ghosted, the ghosting, all the things, breakups and everything. And I hit a point where I'm like, no, but I want it right now. But Jonathan said, you don't want it now. You want it, how did you say it?
You don't, if you're going through a struggle, finding your mate, you say, I want him now. I want someone now. Truth is, you really want someone who's right.
Yeah, like you want someone great.
That might be today, that might be tomorrow, that might be 6 months, or that might be 3 years. But the goal is not someone now. That makes no sense. The goal is someone right.
Yeah.
So you got to just trust the process. I love that.
You said it even better this time.
It's also someone when you're ready.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah. And what if you're not ready and you want it now? And I fell to this. We have a podcast episode where I read my journal 1 year before I met Jonathan. And then when I exactly 1 year later to the date of when I'm with him. And the 1 year from before, I say like, I want someone so badly because I don't feel good about myself. And I feel like having someone will make me feel better for myself. But like, who wants to enter a very, very long-term contract relationship with someone when you're hoping that they make you feel good? So you have to be ready. The person has to be ready. And honestly, the universe needs to be ready. And if you try to rush the process, and if you didn't have any of those painful experiences and you rush the process, you might not have been to Jake. And Jonathan loves Jake.
Seems like a great guy.
Jonathan loves you.
They're already best friends, even though they've never met, never spoken, and Jake doesn't exactly know who you are.
Yeah. Jake's like, Jonathan who?
I got no problem with any of that.
Alana and I are like best friends after 5 minutes. It was the best first date that has ever existed.
Nope.
So if you were to look back at this time, was there like one challenging situation or one challenging relationship that really shaped the time for you that you're like, wow, I learned a lot from this, and like almost thank God it happened to me, this challenge?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say I completely agree with everything you guys both just said. And I feel like there were so many times where I remember sitting in my therapist's office being like, if I want to be on the timeline that I want, I need to meet somebody yesterday.
Yep.
Like the clock is ticking. If I want to like get married when I'm like 30 or 31, I'd want to be, engaged for a year or two before that, like dating somebody for 2 or 3 years before. So I would have needed to meet that person yesterday, last week, tonight at the very latest.
Yep. I
And
did the same
I kept
thing.
questioning like, why? But every single one of those times where I so badly wanted somebody, I wasn't ready. Like I was not in a place where I could have actually developed a healthy and lasting relationship with somebody because I wasn't a full person myself. And I would have been so reliant. And I definitely was so reliant and tied my self-worth to somebody liking me or someone wanting to date me. And to answer your question, yeah, there was one really horrible relationship situation that I was in for like somewhere between like 8 months and a year, where was somebody that I worked with, and we did all the things that people do when they're in a relationship. We would stay up all night talking. We would have sleepovers. We would go out to dinner. We would go do activities together. We would talk all the time. I flew halfway across the country to meet his family over the holidays. He wouldn't call me his girlfriend because it was a secret that we were together from his best friend, who we also worked with.
Okay.
And so there would be times where we were supposed to hang out and his friend ended up like staying at their apartment later. And like, I would have to just walk laps around the grocery store, like waiting or like stand out in the cold. There was a time where I went over and the friend came back and I had to hide in the laundry room. And it was the most painful experience in my life where I felt like I wasn't good enough to be known. Like this guy who would say the nicest things in the world to me and tell me that he, had more feelings for me than he ever did of his like ex for 6 years. And that, we were planning like our lives together, both as friends and partners and people who worked together, but I couldn't be his girlfriend, but he acted like my boyfriend sometimes. And then there were times where I wouldn't hear from him and I would start to question, like, is he out with somebody else? And he would say, like, you're crazy. Stop being crazy. And I did become crazy because I didn't like it got to a point where I didn't know which way was up. And I'm very bad at telling this story. I've like never really done it well because there's so many layers to it. But when all was said and done, like it went from in the beginning, my friends pulled me aside and were like, Ilana, we've never seen you this happy. And within a few months, they were coming to me expressing that they were concerned that they had never seen me this sad. And it crashed and burned. And
Thank God.
I later found out that every time I did have suspicions, he was with other women.
Oh, yeah, you got the chills.
Yeah. And, there were times where I would see a hair on his pillow and I'd have to question, like, is that my hair?
Oh,
I don't know. And it probably wasn't. So that was really hard to get through. It was really hard to overcome. I think it took me years to get over the emotional damage that situation caused me, but I would not take it back or undo it by any means because it absolutely made me who I am today. It gave me reason and purpose to do what I'm doing now. It taught me how unacceptable it is for anyone to treat anyone that way. I would never, ever let a friend or a listener or a follower, if I had any inkling that they were in a situation like this, I would never allow that to continue, or I would do everything in my power to hold their hand through it and remind them that they deserve so much more. And it was the most horrible thing to ever go through, but I'm so glad I went through it.
100%. And the beauty and the pain is that I relate. Not the exact thing, but I just, like, no offense, but Jonathan probably doesn't like know what that feels like. Like,
why?
Guys are different. I mean, okay, so
Do you?
actually, I'll tell you, I'm curious about this.
No. Well, no.
Okay, so here's the thing, because in the moment, you said you would never let someone go through it. Of course not. But in the moment, it's confusing. Like, you guys are having these, obviously, I think, listen to your body. And if all of a sudden you're like the saddest you've ever been, that should indicate that this is probably not the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with or should want to spend the rest of your life with. But for example, like, it worked out for us. But at the beginning, not that he gave me any reason to believe this, but like, I knew Jonathan was, like the type of guy who was dating women in the city. And like, now looking back on it, not that like we should like promote this, but he would probably take girls out who he didn't see a future with, but would take them to dinner and take them to this and take them to that and make them believe that potentially they had a future.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard to qualify if this is like actually a thing or if it's just for fun. Like we talk about the qualifying, like, is this, is it a long-term? It's so hard to figure it out in the moment. Like now you can look back at it. It's saying that you can look back and see the dots connecting, but it's very hard to see them connecting forward. So you have to trust that they're connecting. So like, how do you qualify that like that isn't right? What is the deciding factor in the moment that like this is not right?
Well, first of all, I disagree with how you painted that.
Okay, tell me more.
That non-truth.
Jonathan's a really
First of all, I think that I would say that I'm sorry for such a sad experience that you had. But of course, as you already feel, you learned so much from that year, from the pain, and you got so much stronger because of what you went through. So, you're probably happy deep down inside that you learned so much and you put yourself in a position to be wiser, and you ended up with Jake, who's a phenomenal win for you.
Jake.
He seems like an amazing guy.
Jake.
Now a phenomenal win for you too.
Like now you know the difference between like being treated poorly and ending up with a guy that I'm sure you have great trust with and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, it unfortunately wasn't. It took a long time, I think, for a few years after that situation, because I got into this place where I believed I was not good enough to be prioritized. I believed I was not good enough to actually be somebody's girlfriend. I believed that I wasn't worthy of love. I continued to date guys that would tell me that they wouldn't want anything serious. And I continued to like, I call it like I broke my heart over and over. So it took a long time and a lot of like falling on my face multiple times, but I got there.
It's part of the process.
did you not read between the lines if he didn't want to call you his girlfriend? That this is a huge red flag and there must be a reason for it?
With this guy?
Yeah.
Well, it was because it had to be a secret. So the reason was it had to be a secret from the other one we were working with, because he would never let us both be in a relationship and continue to work together. And we wanted both of those things.
So he used that as an excuse for the reason why he was hiding the fact that you guys are boyfriend and girlfriend.
But other like his other friends knew about it. Like, yeah.
So you guys really were in a relationship, but you had to hide it from this friend because you were coworkers.
Yes.
But then there's all this mess and it's confusing. It's hard being single. This is why dating sucks. Like first dates suck. Figuring out if they like you sucks. Figuring out if you're boyfriend and girl. There's so many like stages that are just overwhelming and confusing and stressful. And that's why we want to make it feel less alone and less stressful, because in the end of the day, you are looking for one person, a Jonathan, a Jake, who you are going to spend the rest of your life with. And there is only one person that fills that slot, hopefully. And so it takes time and it takes a bunch of frogs before you find your prince. And it takes a heartbreak and it takes all of this. So it can be confusing. It can be lonely. It can be all of this, but it's for a reason. So was there a turning point, you'd say? You know, there was this pain that, and I, by the way, I have similar. I have my one that just like knocked me on the ground. And it was kind of like a long time coming.
I love that story.
Oh my God. It's like kind of embarrassing.
You needed to be humbled a little bit.
I need to be humbled. I was like,
I didn't want to have to do that job. So I'm so happy somebody else did.
He hired someone.
Oh my God, literally. No, but I like crashed and burned, and it took me a while after that one. And you end up looking for situations to reinforce what you're feeling. So you broke your heart a bunch of times. I had a situation where a guy was after me for a long time. This one guy for many, many, many years, like doing everything in his power, would call my sister, would like try to stop it. Like he was trying to date real hard, right? Finally, after years, I'm like, actually a friend said to me, they were like, Remy, like give him a chance. He's such a good guy. Give him a chance. And I was like, okay, fine. Lo and behold, I meet his family. I go on trip. I go on this. I go on that. And like I'm dating him. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I kind of like you, you know? And I'm like, okay, like I can do this. And then I fall. And then I like him, right? Then we're dating and he's like, our grandparents are going to meet and he's sending gifts to here. Like kind of, what's it called when you, not gaslight? Oh, love bombing. Love bombing. So like that type of idea. It's like all in.
Much.
And then I remember, and it's so funny you say I got to New York. We had been in Colorado and Aspen with our families. And I get to New York and I remember he just didn't text me the like, good morning, beautiful. And I woke up with anxiety. Like I think a woman's intuition just tells you something. And I was like, okay, this feels a little bit different. And then we were texting throughout the day and like, it just felt weird. A few days goes by, it still feels weird. I'm like, maybe I like the distance, but maybe I don't type of thing. And then one day I get to the office and I really think women's intuition kicked in at this point. And I literally had a panic attack and I didn't know it was a panic attack. I thought I was like going to faint or something. I don't know. Like I remember the room going dark and I was like, I'm really sick. I need to go to the doctor. And I left and I went to go see him. And like this whole thing turns out of nowhere, his ex-girlfriend comes into the picture and he went from 2000% with me to 2000% with her.
Wow.
And it happened like this. And then I see him out one night and he was literally with her. And I was like, wait, we were dating a week ago. We were with our grandparents. What is happening? And then he called me the next morning. He's like, can I see you? And he goes, yeah, I'm dating her. They're married now. I'm so happy for them.
How long into it was this?
I mean, it depends because like I'd known him for years.
Yeah.
And by the way, I never liked this guy. That's what it was. Like, I didn't even like him. So it was the feeling of like, I didn't even like you, but you don't like me. Like, I'm not good enough for you, but I don't even like you. So how does this make any sense? And then I told myself for so long that I'm unlovable and I'm not worthy for a man to love me. And I hit that point where in the podcast episode, you hear me literally writing it down in 2018, whenever it was, 2017, whatever it was. And I'm like, I can't imagine a guy holding my hand and telling me he loves me and walking me around and me being his girlfriend. 1 year later, I'm sitting in Jonathan's house and I was like, he loves me. Like, he just loves me. And I don't know how else to tell you that. But what does it start with? Like you loving yourself.
A girl who thinks she's hot shit to get her ass handed to her. I think it's great. It's very healthy.
But then it happened to me quite.
Otherwise, you would have walked in my apartment like I'm the queen of the world. Everything I do is perfect. You needed a good butt kicking.
Yeah, that's the other thing is like, then how much are you going to appreciate it how much do you appreciate Jake?
So much.
Yeah, right. After having these hardships. So I know for myself when this turning point was, right? It was after this guy. It was after the crash and burn.
Yeah.
It was crash, even farther, even farther, even farther. And I was like, I don't want this. I don't want to meet my person when I feel like this. So what was your turning point?
I think COVID helped me a lot. It helped me become more independent. It helped me enjoy spending time with myself. Like prior to COVID, I never could have imagined living on my own or even like wanting to not have plans and just like spend the night doing whatever I wanted. Like I always felt like I need to always be seeing people and going places and doing things. And I wasn't necessarily like, I love myself or I even like hanging out with myself. Like I don't necessarily think you need to love yourself in order to be loved by someone else because loving yourself is a lifelong battle and that's really hard to achieve, but you need to at least like yourself and respect yourself. So I think COVID really encouraged me to learn how to do that. And so I came out of COVID, not out of COVID, but it's September, October 2020, and I'm starting to go out on dates with people and do the outdoor dining stuff. And there was this one guy who we probably went on like 4 or 5 dates and we were definitely like connecting and we would talk every day in between and we were really hitting it off. And out of nowhere, he kind of decides that he was going to go for the next like 3 or 4 months to Florida and spend the winter with friends and family in Florida. And so he hit me with like this quote that I had heard so many times in my dating life. And he said, I really like hanging out with you. I'm not looking for anything serious since I know that I'm leaving, but we have a lot of fun. I'm down to keep hanging out and keep it casual until I go if you are. And it was so hard for me because I wanted to spend time with him. I'm like, you know what? Maybe if we spend more time, I can convince him to, do this long distance thing. Or I'm going to Florida in the winter to see my family too. Like we can keep it going.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Yeah. I'll see you there. I'm going too.
Oh, when's your flight?
Listen, Tuesday, 2 p.m.
I had family in Florida. I did end up going there.
It's a third cousin. I've never met them, but I'm going to go on a search for 4 months and look for them.
So I ended up, he was like, balls in your court. And I like thought about it overnight and I ended up calling him the next day. And I'm like, listen, like this is really hard for me to say because I really like hanging out with you too. But I have made this mistake so many times and said, oh, I'm okay with it when I'm not. And I know that I'm not okay with this. Like I am looking for something serious. And like, I'm glad we hung out and got to know each other, have fun in Florida. And that
Bravo.
was me choosing myself.
Bravo. I love that.
My turning point where I learned a lesson and I prioritized myself and I, am walking out of the gates.
Bravo,
like,
good for
I
you.
did it, spreading my wings.
Okay,
not
good.
making the
And
same
then
mistake.
when did Jake come in?
A few months later.
Exactly. That's how it my turning point. It took me exactly 6 weeks. And a huge thing for me was, you know what? I don't want to meet someone right now. Like I don't want to meet someone when I feel this low.
Yeah.
I want to meet my husband when I walk into the room and he's like, that is my wife. Like that is my queen. That is my wife. Not walking and being like, oh, I hope someone hits on me tonight and likes me and I go on a date. And I'm like, okay, how can they like me? How can they like me? I stopped 6 weeks later. What happens? I meet Jonathan. So something I love about your turning point is that you qualified. Like Jonathan and I talk about this, like, is this something serious or is it not? And I think this might be, actually, it's on women and men's minds because I've seen it go both ways. Do you think it's too soon within a few months to be like, hey, is this serious or is this not?
Within a few months? Not at all. Definitely not too soon.
When's too soon?
I think if the other person were to bring it up and you would be like, whoa, that's too soon, that's when it's too soon. A few months ago, my brother asked, he had started seeing this girl in September. And in October, he was like, I think I might want to, bring her to Thanksgiving, but it feels really soon. But I do see this going somewhere and I'd love for her to meet the family. And our family's not always together. And we have to all fly to Florida from different parts of the country to be together for the holidays. So he was like, is it like aggressively soon for me to ask her to come? Like, what do you think? Is it going to scare her away? And I said, well, Andrew, how would you feel if she invited you to spend Thanksgiving with her family? Like, would you feel like that's too soon? He's like, no, I'd be really excited and like honored and flattered that she wanted me to come. And I said, okay, so do that.
That's a really
Did she join?
She did. It was wonderful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You'll find out. And also, if she balks, you get information.
You'd rather have that answer now.
You
than
always want to be
later.
true to yourself and the person you're dating.
Yeah.
So that's our
Which
question.
also reminds me that you attacked my character like a little while ago.
Okay.
I was not deceptive when I was dating. I was successful. I had a rhythm. I was not perfect.
Did you have a roster?
But I didn't have a
You have no
hidden
idea.
girlfriend for 9 months and stuff
I
like
did
that.
not.
Okay,
Girlfriends.
fine. But Jonathan had a clear line. It was either you were in somewhat of a fun category of like, I'm not going to pretend like you're my girlfriend, but I'm going to wine and dine you. But it was never like, you're my girlfriend, I'm going to spend it was never that type of thing. So there's so many like nuances.
But did you see it? Could it possibly have gone anywhere with these people that you were repeatedly seeing?
No.
Do you think that they thought it could possibly have gone
Yes.
somewhere?
Yes.
If they did, I wouldn't lie to them. I wouldn't deceive them.
But they would have to ask you in order to get that information.
Yes.
They would have to ask me to get that information.
And that is why we need to communicate and share our
Yes.
intentions and ask people
Yes.
where they're at.
Exactly.
100%. And by the way, maybe they were just having fun and I was having fun. And I was showing them a good time and they were enjoying themselves.
Great. And it'd be
That was
great
probably
for us all to
90%
put
of
out
it.
there.
Would
Yeah.
maybe 10% I don't know, maybe this guy really wants to be my Prince Charming and they hoped for it or
No,
something?
I know one
Sure,
of
maybe
them.
yes,
I think
maybe
the numbers
no.
might be flipped there, but
Yeah.
Maybe yes, maybe no. But, I presented the offer in the sense of like, let's grab dinner, let's grab drinks. And I wouldn't be with them 5 nights a week
Yeah.
and then have like a hidden life. Like if I called you once every 2 weeks to grab drinks, you shouldn't really,
So this
confuse
is, but
the
this is
reality
why
of
we have a
what's
guy
going
on here. Like it's
Mhm.
good for
Yeah.
girls to know that like usually like momentum's good, but this is why I actually think, because it's such a question. It's like, when is too soon to like not start putting pressure on, but pressure tells you early on whether or not this is going in a direction of serious or not serious. And Jonathan, how we started dating, and I didn't know if he was whining and dining me, and I could tell that it was different. I'm sure with Jake, I don't know, but it took us 2.5, 3 months to become boyfriend and girlfriend, and it was because one of this other girls came up to me and was was talking.
She was hot. She was very hot.
Excuse you. You
She was.
cannot say that.
She was one.
She's she's a beautiful girl. Thank God she just got engaged. And she's very nice. And it was one of those moments of like, wait, it's like.
A hot girl went up to Remy and said, "Oh, you're dating him too?"
You're hot girl number 2. I'm hot girl number 3.
And she had flashbacks of the time when she was crushed by that guy.
Oh
I
my
don't know.
God.
She started to
Yes.
say, "Oh my God, I'm going to kill this guy."
Yeah.
So she came to. We went ice skating. We were trying to have a sober date.
That's smart. You could use the blade.
But
Exactly.
she poured a bottle of wine down my throat.
I
And
was
in
already
3 minutes,
drunk.
I said, "Okay, well, there goes the sober option." And then she brought up this thing like, "So you have a girlfriend?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
That's news to me.
I was like, I'm not dating anybody else, but like, we haven't had an exclusive chat because you haven't really, told me that you're very interested in jumping in the pool with me. So I didn't want to put all my eggs in one basket. So I protected my emotions, my pride, my happiness, but like, I was hoping for you and hoping for us, but like, still a human being for the first 30 or 60 days.
I played the cool girl game. Like, I really played that game. Why? As much work as I had done, listen, we can all do work, I was scared.
Mm-hmm.
I was scared of this happening. And it happened, but it was for the best for us because that's when we started dating. But I played the cool girl game. And now when I talk to women who are dating, not that I love the idea of women being the receptive one. So allowing for relationships to come to them rather than, and if someone's a little more of a go-getter and like likes to hit on guys at bars, go for it if you like this stuff. But I like as a woman that energy of like receiving and attracting. I think it's a very feminine, beautiful energy. That being said, there's a certain point where like, let's just be honest and be like, with you, like, you're like, yeah, honestly, I'm uninterested in this. So like move on. And guess what happened? It was like, I think I've seen an image where it's a kid and there's like a little teddy bear in front of the kid. And then behind the little teddy bear is this huge teddy bear, but the kid, and someone's taking away the small teddy bear. And the kid's like, no, don't take the small teddy bear. Little does the kid know, right behind it is this massive, stunning, fun teddy bear. So that happened to you. You had this little, like, crappy little I'm sure he's a great guy, but like, he wasn't going to be your guy.
Yeah.
You had to make the decision. No, you had to make
Jake is the big teddy bear.
Exactly. Jake is the big teddy bear. So you think that was the turning point, and to say, like, I know what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I want, which is something serious.
Yeah.
And it's okay to admit that.
Yeah.
So girls should really be strong enough to choose themselves. If something is not exactly what they want, don't sign up for the wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we are I can't speak for everyone, but for so long in the majority of my 20s and for so many of my friends and my listeners, like, we so badly want to be loved and we so badly want to feel validated and want to feel like someone wants to be with us that we put people on pedestals and we give so much weight to situations where we don't feel good in those situations anyway. We feel on edge. We feel anxious. We're second guessing where that person stands when that's not how it should feel when it's with your person. Like, if you think about it, you're trying to find the person that you could create a lasting partnership and a life with. And you want it to be with somebody that it feels like it fits.
Yes.
And it's so crazy to me how much time I spent trying to force situations to work out when I wasn't comfortable in those situations. I was not myself. And I wish I could like go back and shake my younger self and say, like, do you even actually like this person?
It's
Right.
so true.
Do you actually have emotional feelings for this person? And do you actually think this is somebody you could form a life with?
100%.
I think you're right. I think that if you're in a relationship where it's easy and amazing, you're in the right. You've got a good fit.
So I think where dating sucks. This is when dating sucks. I have the bottom line. When you are dating somebody to feel good about yourself and to feel that worth. Like, when dating means something about you as a person.
Yeah.
But when you're able to do the work and, like Jonathan said, choose yourself and to say, I want to meet somebody when I feel amazing because this is the person you are signing the biggest contract ever with. So yes, dating sucks if you're going about it in a way of like, this is my worth. This is, if this person likes me, great. If they don't, that sucks for me. Whereas go into it of, do I like this person? Would I spend the rest of my life with them? Am I okay with signing up for a situationship? And I think your younger self who was in this crappy situation, if you asked her, do you want to be in this situation? She would have said no.
Yeah.
Right? Would that be kind of like your biggest advice? Like what would be your biggest advice to Ilana pre-Jake in that deep, dark place? How would you tell her to get out of it?
Yeah, I would really say, like, are you happy? Are you happy in this situation? Because most of the time the answer was no, but I just wanted to be with somebody so badly that I was like, yeah, I'm happy. Except I'm only happy 10% of the time. I only feel safe 8% of the time. I only feel like I can express my needs 4% of the time. And I only feel like I'm being chosen 2% of the time. So
Those
no,
are not good stats.
No, I wasn't happy.
Those are really low numbers.
Okay, but
What about the people that you're in a relationship and they're 90% happy or 85% happy? And they're like, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but I'm pretty happy. What would be, you can give advice as well.
I can easily
advice to those people that are stuck in a good relationship, let's say.
But what's the problem there?
It might not be great. It might not be Jake. It might not be my Remy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and this is part of the problem with modern dating is this paradox of choice and that there are so many options out there. And we're constantly wondering, like, well, is the person who's 1% better 10 swipes away? Like, should I keep going and trying? But I think at a certain point you have to figure out, like, are me and this person values, like, do we share similar values? Do we share the same goals for our future? Do we want the same type of life moving forward? Do I consider them to be my best friend? Like, these are questions you should be asking yourself if you're unsure. And it's okay to be unsure, but you have to be working towards figuring that out and making that decision. Otherwise, that's when we get 3, 4, or 5 years into a relationship. And at that point we feel like, oh, well, I've spent so much time. I'm just going to like stay in this forever because it'd be like crazy to start over now. So you want to be asking yourself those questions along
Does she
the way.
sound like us? Is that not exactly
I
what
also
we
believe
say?
that compatibility is even more important than chemistry.
Yeah,
And you really got to know, does this make sense for our future?
absolutely.
And do we have an easy path?
Yeah, because
That's more than just she's the best dancer in the world, or she has a great voice.
We
Like,
both
and
love sushi.
We both love
literally.
sushi.
And
Right.
so this is like my passion in the world. So sorry for preemptively getting so excited about this, but nobody really knows what marriage is. Like, we're going into it being like, do we have fun together? Do I like you? Do we both like sushi? Are we going to like sushi dinners? What happens when the woman's pregnant and can't have sushi anymore? And it's like, oh, never mind. We changed. We don't like each other. This isn't right. And like you said, you'll get 3, 4, 5 years down the line because you haven't had the serious conversations of, do our lives match up? Do we have the same values? Like, that's what a marriage lies on. And you're not going to like the person every single day of your entire life. Like, you're putting a man and a woman into a home together, saying, be roommates, live amongst each other, raise a kid together. One's messy, one's clean, one's this, one's that. And I heard something recently. I loved it on a podcast, obviously, because that's all I do is listen to podcasts. And the guy, it was actually a divorce lawyer talking about marriage. I don't know if you've heard this one. It's an older episode. I'm trying to remember which podcast. But he said, what if I told you you could buy one car for the rest of your life? Right now, you could buy one car. Someone in their 20s is going to say, ugh, I want a Lamborghini. I want a sports car. I wanted this. Okay, but is that car going to be good when you're 80 years old and you have to get up and down in it? Is it going to be good when you potentially have kids and you have to fit 4 kids into a tiny Lamborghini? Like, is that the car you want to choose? Okay, but you don't necessarily want to choose the minivan when you're young and single because that's not cool. So you're choosing a car to take you through so many different stages in life. And if I told you this car was going to be the rest of your life, you would take really good care of this car. Like, you would get it serviced. You would make sure it's clean. I think what people fall into sometimes is that they think dating is, honestly, I think it's over casualized. I think the hookup culture, I think our generation, I think apps, I think the swipe made it too casual, when in the end of the day, if you boil it down to you're finding somebody who you're going to create something with, you're building a foundation. So your foundation better be strong, which means strong values that match up, strong vision for the future. Of course, that can change. COVID mixed up a lot of people's lives, but can we weather storms together? Can we be honest and together and be teammates and like share this love for each other and love for our lives together? So I'm obviously going so far down the line, but the point is that if you have insight into what you're doing, insight into like where you're headed, what marriage actually is, then the dating process kind of gets steered into a different direction. You're not just going to be like, oh, he's hot and his profile's good and his answers are good. And if he doesn't like me, like, oh, that says something about me. It's no, you want to choose somebody who chooses you every single day for the rest of their life. Not like is going to Florida. Thank you. I'm very passionate about this. Not who's going to Florida and like doesn't want to like, and who would choose like a friend. I just went on my crazy rant. Advice. I could keep going, but don't you think if you have insight into like what you're entering, you might be able to get there more efficiently?
Absolutely. I think people go into dating like, oh, this is the thing I have to do to find somebody, but you got to really figure out like, what do you want that somebody and you to do together down the road? Like, what do you want your future to look like? And, you know, when me and Jake met, like this, not when we met, but people ask me a lot, like, how did I know that Jake was the one? And this isn't that romantic, but I think over time, there were two things. One, it felt right. And two, it made sense. Like we felt so comfortable with each other. We love hanging out together, even if we're doing nothing. We have like a lot of shared interests and hobbies and passions, and then a bunch of different ones. But we had the exact same visions for our future. And we knew where we wanted to go, and we were going down the same road. And so that kept bringing us closer and closer together. And it's not like, yes, like I love him so much, but I'm like, I'm the most in love with Jake that anybody's ever been in love with somebody in the world. It's like, no, he's my best friend. And like, we want the same things. And that's just how I knew, because it made sense. And in what world would that not be the person I want to spend my life with?
Yep. And it feels
That's beautiful.
Right.
Thank you.
And I think you have a great chance for success because everything lines up. And
yeah,
it's a great recipe for success. And who you marry kind of determines the quality of your life. So great recipe for success. So going back to the dating in terms of marriage, right?
Yeah.
Because you're giving people a glimpse into like the delicateness, but the specialness of what marriage actually is, which is why we're dating in the first place, not to like be ghosted and ghost and love bombed and this and that. Like you're going into marriage. So I have a unique story, but I find Judaism to have a lot of insight and wisdom into like how we should do things, like structure our life. I loved it. I found it later in life. And there's a way to date in Judaism. And kind of the structure it follows is you first find out about the person's values. Like the first thing right off the bat is find out about their values. The second thing you do is find out about what they like to do. So they say it's intellectual, emotional, and then physical. So intellectual is values, life path. Second, what do you like to do? Do we have fun together? It's important. It's important to be best friends. It's important to both like travel and potentially. They're both like similar things. I love traveling. I love traveling. So it's important to have things that you can connect on in, you know, the physical world of like, we both like doing this. Lastly, physical. Physical is super important, but let's put it last, which the hookup culture, the dating culture, flipped this thing around and made it first physical. Yeah. Is your profile good? I didn't do dating apps because I was just a little bit right before that.
Yeah.
But regardless, I went to a club, a bar, and I looked for a hot guy.
Right.
That's what I was looking for. So until this guy came around. But so we go physical and we engage in physical activity because that's normal in the hookup culture. Then we say, and do we have fun together? So we're physically attracted. This is how we have it backwards typically. Do we have fun together? Do we like similar things? And last but not least, which is the problem, that's the last thing we focus on is the values and this and that. Because people are too scared to go on a date and be like, so like the big questions, the real questions.
Yeah.
But that's what's important. Does that make sense?
100%. No, I wish we could normalize having real conversations on our first dates instead of sharing the same first date story for the 17th time this month. Like it matters. You know, people ask me all the time, like, I know I want kids and they have it on their profile that they don't want kids. But like we went on our first date and we really hit it off. What do I do? I'm like, you shouldn't have gone on that first date. That is a deal breaker. Like that is a line in the sand. You know, this is something you want and you don't want to develop an intense connection with this person because the last thing you want is for one of you to have to compromise on something that you are set in.
Yep.
So things like religion, how you want to raise your kids, if education matters to you. I mean, I think that's less important because there can be very smart people who, maybe didn't have the means to go to a university that's like of your standard. But I think, for most people, it's kids, it's religion, and it's politics.
Politics?
And those
Yeah.
are,
Really?
actually another one I'm going to throw in there because politics.
I didn't bring up politics in any of my dates.
No, because we wouldn't have agreed. And it's been a challenge for us, honestly, in our marriage, especially in COVID. Politics was very challenging for us, and we didn't bring it up. And maybe it could have been a good conversation. I also think the other thing, and it's hard to bring up.
You didn't allow us to bring it up, but I think it's very important for the world, especially this country, to be able to discuss with opposing views, why you have the opinions that you have.
And that's it. It's an important
and we all
skill.
have different angles. So we should be able to talk as opposed to like, oh, you're green and I'm red, or you're blue and I'm gray. And like, we can't sit at the same table. I think that's crazy.
So that's the other thing is like specifically in dating, you guys don't have to be the same. You don't have to have the same views, but you want to be authentically yourself, have these conversations. I actually think another conversation, you can't really have this on first dates, but like financial conversations are just a tough one that comes up in marriage. I would say it's political, financial, kids, how you raise your kids. Like these are issues that come up in marriage. You might as well kind of flesh them out.
Where you want to live.
Yeah, where you want to live.
Where you hope to live. Where you envision it, because everything can change. But I also think truth needs to come out from both sides.
Yeah,
otherwise, what's the point of having a conversation?
Yeah, exactly. Truth.
But yeah, you can like kind of like show your best self while you're dating. But like before you get married, just be a little bit more honest. Just to like know, hey, you're really gonna sign up for the rest of your life with me. I want you to just make sure you're okay with this.
Yeah.
This.
Because how many times I did this where like I pretended to be X, Y, and Z, so they liked me.
Well, you said you tried to be the chill girl with him,
and but I will give myself this: I am pretty chill in general. So like I was trying to be the cool girl, which worked in my favor because Jonathan did have a lot of girls who would like text him first a lot of the time and this and that. Like. I waited till he texted me, which
you were a horrible
I don't
texter.
think
horrible.
That's why he likes me because I never texted him.
That's not why I like you.
That is why he liked me.
No.
But honesty, conversations, choosing yourself, and saying like I know what I want. I know who I want to be. I know somewhat of the life I want to live. Now let me find a partner who fits into this. Yeah. Not let me find somebody to make me feel good about myself because I don't.
Or whose life I can fit into.
Yeah.
And I can bend and
and you can compromise. Like there's totally ways that like you like I moved to New York, I'm staying here for the rest of my life because this is where his home is and I love it. It wasn't like oh my God, this is the last place I want to live. I love it. But you can compromise, but just in single, how much more fun? And like it is a really exciting time, and this is how you make dating not suck. When you get to know yourself and spend this really precious time with yourself. If I get a night to myself, I got till like 11 p.m. by myself last night, and he got home, and what did I say? I was like, "You're home already? Like, please leave." I was like, shoot, I thought I had so much more time. Yeah. Then we watched Curb Your Enthusiasm, and it was fabulous.
Best episode.
It was fabulous.
I'm in love.
I was like holding
with Larry
my eyes
David.
open like this the whole time trying to finish it.
Does Jake like Larry David?
Neither of us are big Larry people, but we want to be.
It took me time.
How old are you and Jake, if you don't mind me asking?
I am 29. Jake is 30.
Okay.
It took me time. And like understanding the ridiculousness of it.
Maybe you have to be from the city in order
I know.
Really,
because he's got like Larry David.
I mean, I have a lot of friends who like love Larry.
Yeah,
he is perfect.
I mean, he's wild. It's literally absurd.
If I could leave you for one person in this world, it'd be Larry.
Oh my God. So my last question, and then Jonathan going to take it away for his fun section.
Oh boy.
So if you were to look at yourself and give that like one piece of advice and be like, this is what I want you to focus on. And if you focus on this, you can turn the ship around and end up where you want to be. Like kind of shortening the gap from living in a place of loneliness and not feeling worthy and either liking your day job or not liking your day job. Like that place in your life where you feel lost and stuck, to honestly kind of where you are now. Like what is that bridge that got you there that you could give advice to your younger self, but really all of the beautiful people listening.
This is something that really did take me every step of the way, and something that I will always stand by. And it's something my mom told me. And it's, if you don't ask, you don't get. And it goes for dating. Like, if you don't tell someone what you want and ask what they're looking for, you're going to get yourself hurt, because you're going to be 5, 10, 20 dates down the line with somebody who might not be looking for something serious. And you may have thought otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't ask for your needs, the other person can't assume what your needs are. They're not mind readers, neither are you. So you have to tell somebody what your needs are and ask for your needs to be met. And if they can't meet them, that's okay. You'd rather find that out now.
Mm-hmm.
And with career, I mean, every job, every opportunity I've gotten, it's because I put myself out there and asked and talked to people and really like just put it all out there. And there's so many examples in my life. And, you know, I think I've never regretted asking.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are times that I could have done more of it, and I could have voiced what I wanted, what I needed more. And I would have maybe fast forwarded through some rough patches had I done that.
Yeah.
Smart. Very
I
smart.
love that. It also is huge in marriage, because we expect our partner to know exactly what's on our mind. And I think maybe women fall into this more often of like, we want them to be a mind reader. Like, if I'm in a bad mood and I want Jonathan to give me a hug and be like, everything's okay, but I'm being grumpy and walking in the house and he's not, and then I'm mad at him for not doing this. And it's like, if I just said to him, Jonathan, I'm in a sad mood, can you give me a hug? Guess what? He would have done that. And obviously that's like a super small example of that.
No, but it's so true. I just heard a story recently from a listener that, you know, they got some really bad news and they really wanted their partner to like hug them and hold them and support them through it. And instead their partner gave them space, because that's what they thought they would have wanted, because that's what their partner would have wanted. And then they were more upset about their partner's reaction to the situation than about the bad news in itself.
Exactly. That's probably been one of my biggest lessons in marriage, is just like, ask for what you want and you shall hopefully receive.
Yes, you will.
But men want to make you happy.
Your wish is my desire.
Yeah, exactly. Men want to make you happy.
But I grew up with all brothers. We didn't really have that feminine person in our home almost ever. So it's like sometimes like we're on different channels, but you know.
But if you can communicate.
I want to always make you happy. So.
But if you can communicate from the beginning, the man who is meant for you will want to make you happy. So you say, I want something serious. Of course, timing matters. If they can, they'll give it to you. If you want a hug, they'll give it to you. But I love this idea of ask and you shall maybe receive if it's the right situation.
And if not, then you're still one step closer to ultimately receiving what you want.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And with that,
hit me hard.
Jonathan, take it away.
You want it, you're going to get it.
Do it.
All right. So these are my rapid fire questions.
I'm so bad at rapid fire, but I always
It doesn't have to be the perfect answer.
I'm like, I don't know.
It does not have to be the perfect answer, just whatever comes to your mind. Let's have a little fun. Okay?
Let's do it.
What's the best thing about your relationship?
Oh. That I think we're just so comfortable with each other. Like whenever I'm away, I just like want to come home to Jake. Like Jake is my home, and if I'm with him, I feel like everything's okay.
That's very beautiful. What makes you feel the most loved?
Oh. Little things, little thoughtful things. I don't think it's that hard to show someone that you care and love them and appreciate them. And I'd rather like little moments of that as opposed to like grand gestures.
Can you give us an example of one of these little moments?
Yeah. Jake and I occasionally will do like surprise date days for each other. And it's not necessarily like the whole surprise date day, but we did one in December where he planned it for me. I have one coming up for him next weekend. And one of the activities was to actually like go home and record a podcast episode together reflecting on all of our dates from the year. Because we have a joint note, an iCloud note of all of our dates that we track. And so it wasn't the fancy 18-course omakase that we went to at night or the activities we did during the day. It was sitting down and just recording this thing that we didn't even know if we were going to like release or not. It was for us. And like that was really thoughtful. Like the fact that he was like, oh, this is something that Ilana would really like to do. And like it meant so much. And now we have that forever.
It's really cute.
That's beautiful. We don't have to record any date list because every day is a date with you, my love.
Oh my God. No. By the way, I'm stealing that. We're going to do days for
Whatever
each other.
your heart desires.
We're
What
doing.
is your favorite memory of you and Jake?
Oh my God. How are these rapid fire?
Rapid fire. Whatever comes to your mind.
By
It's
the
not
way-
supposed to be the absolute perfect answer. It's just supposed to be whatever pops in your head.
Like anytime we're at a Jonas Brothers concert.
Oh my God. I
Jonas
love Jonas
Brothers.
Brothers.
Yeah.
Does he like Jonas Brothers?
He does.
No.
That's how we met.
No.
I had a prompt in my Hinge profile about loving the Jonas Brothers, and he messaged me that he also loved them.
Stop,
He
they're my
looks like a
childhood
backup
and they're my
singer for the
boyfriends.
Jonas Brothers. Has anybody ever
We've
told
now
you
been
that?
to 10 of their concerts together.
When's the
and,
next one?
On our honeymoon in Paris.
Okay, we're
Paris. We're not
in
going to Paris for
Yeah.
a Jonas
I'll
Brothers.
see
Don't even
you
think about it.
there. I will be there. I love Nick so much.
Who is
Did
your
you ever
favorite
see the movie
Jonas
with Demi
brother?
Lovato?
Of course I did.
Oh my God, it's my childhood.
Growing up, I was a Nick girl, but hands down, Kevin is
No way.
so wonderful.
I
I mean,
haven't-
they're all wonderful. Kevin's just so great and special. They're all great.
What's your favorite song?
It depends. That's
Drifting into the lava.
it depends.
Which Jonas brother was in the fighting?
Nick
Nick?
in the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like Nick.
I love Nick.
Yeah.
That was a good show.
Nick is maybe my celebrity crush.
What is
He'll take Larry David. You'll take Nick Jonas.
There you go. Yes.
no problem? What is the one thing in your relationship you want more of?
Oh my God, these are hard. This is good timing for these thought-provoking questions where we have our second pre-wedding meeting with the rabbi tomorrow night.
Oh, be like, smart. You guys are doing that?
Who's your rabbi?
Rabbi David Levy.
Okay.
Sounds Jewish.
Yes.
And you guys are doing like classes before?
We're doing like a few sessions with him.
Very
yeah.
smart. Very smart.
3 values that you would love for your future kids to have.
She didn't answer the last one. Do you care?
Oh, that was not the question I asked?
No. The thing that she wants in her
The
marriage.
thing I want
Oh,
for
oh,
a
oh.
relationship. I would love for Jake to bring me flowers like more than once a year.
Flowers.
Amazing. Amazing. Love that.
It goes back
I'm
to, like, the
allergic to
little-
flowers.
the
I
little
can't buy
thoughtful
them.
thing. I mean, there's a bunch of flowers on your kitchen table over there. I
Mhm.
noticed. They're very pretty.
I know. It wasn't me who bought them. I'm allergic to flowers, so I just, on special occasions I'll buy, but otherwise I'd rather buy like fake flowers.
Fair. Fake flowers are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so more flowers from Jake. Please, order away. 3 values you would love to have your kids have.
Curiosity.
Okay.
I think I've always been a very curious person, and that's led me to try a lot of things. And I think that's really awesome. I just want them to be passionate about something. And I don't even know if these are values, but these are like traits maybe.
Mhm.
But I was very passionate about the Jonas Brothers growing up. And my parents really supported it. Like every single inch of my walls and my ceiling and my bedding, everything was Jonas Brothers. And that led me to pursue a career in the music industry and to create content and get involved with like my camera. And that led me to my Hinge job, which led me to the podcast, which led me to interview the Jonas Brothers on my podcast. So
What?
yes,
What?
It's all full circle. Yeah.
How?
It's a long story. We
Okay,
don't
you'll
have time
tell
for that
me,
right now.
yeah.
But yeah, so curiosity, passion, and just openness to learning, to exploring. Yeah.
Beautiful. If one person could enter this room now, would it be Jake or Nick Jonas?
Jake.
Jake.
Oh my God, so cute.
Wow. Okay.
So
Surprising.
you guys could develop your romance.
Yeah, exactly. We need Jake to know
Okay. Wow.
Jonathan
Was
first.
not expecting that answer. If you were a cup, what would you be filled with?
Ooh,
That's so cute.
a chai latte.
Oh, I love
Chai latte.
Yeah, not a spicy one, a sweet one with almond milk.
I
Because
think I like spicy.
just for people with sensitivities, to me, a chai latte feels like a warm hug.
Hug.
And it makes my day better. And that's what I hope to be for other people, a sense of comfort. And, I'm always there when you need me.
Cute.
Honey, what cup would you?
I know. I thought if
be
you
filled
asked me, I don't know why. Like, I'm going to just like a glass of wine.
Great.
Like that's.
Any color or
It
doesn't
was
matter?
red when I imagined it. So maybe
Red.
that means it's in my near future tonight. But I think a chai latte is really delicious. What about like a chocolate milk
Yeah.
or like a smoothie? I like green smoothies too.
Okay.
I'll
Not
take one for.
everybody likes green
We're going to go with a
Love.
green smoothie.
I'm gonna go with
Remy.
celery juice.
Celery juice. Okay, but is that your final answer?
No, I have one for
Are you
breakfast,
putting them
lunch, and
all in
dinner.
one cup?
No, breakfast,
The
lunch,
rosé,
dinner.
the red, the smoothie.
Yes, that's me.
There's a place on 90-something Street in Madison, hot chocolate with a s'more and a gelato on the bottom, affogato.
Have you seen it?
Heard
No.
been
Oh my
to
God.
that? Yeah,
Okay,
it's
we're
near
going.
your
The four of
apartment.
us. Oh
Check
my
it out.
God. That's our double date.
Perfect.
I would love to go to that. How would you describe your dream home?
Oh my goodness. Bright. Full of love. Nice backyard.
Okay. So it's a
Same.
house.
It's a house. It's a
Okay.
house.
Cool. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Honey, how would you describe your
Very
home?
much to the same. Bright, light, spacious. I mean, this is a home. I'm thinking home terms. Green, a lot of green around. Like I see green just around outside and spacious backyard and white and happy and colorful. And
I
love.
also don't think of an apartment in the
No.
city. So does that mean we're moving to the suburbs?
No.
So we're
not
staying
now.
here.
No,
so we're
no.
never gonna
But your
even try
apartment's
to get our
different.
dream home.
Your apartment's different. Your apartment's like in, out, in, out, in, out. Like you're not like, I don't know. Home's different.
Okay, what is the biggest secret you are hiding from Jake? Don't worry, your secret is safe with me.
The biggest secret I'm hiding from Jake is I don't know. I have literally no idea.
If it makes you feel better,
Okay, let's make it a more of a PG-13 question. What's the Rachel and Leah sentence?
Okay, quickly.
phrase?
So before you meet someone, so there's Rachel and Leah in Judaism, right?
Uh-huh.
So like he thinks he's marrying Rachel, but he marries Leah, the
Oh.
whole thing. So the idea is before you marry someone, you're marrying Rachel, but then you end up marrying Leah. So with Jonathan and I used to be like so fine with him watching TV in bed when I'm falling asleep. He could watch sports. I didn't care. But now I like my sleep too much. You watch in the living room and I go in there. So he comes in the room. I'm like, get out of the room, you know?
She changed
So
a couple of.
yeah.
There's a few. You put your best face on it. Do you have something for herself?
Do you
that
have
she,
something that
changed?
you plan on changing? Like
What
that
do
you're
you
okay
mean?
with now, but the second you guys get back from Paris and your honeymoon,
I don't think so. I mean,
you'll
I
be
feel
giving
like-
him a new list,
I feel
new
like
rule
we're
book.
very like I argue with him about like where he puts the towel and like when he how often he needs like a towel should be washed once a week. Like he goes through 3 towels a week and it's really annoying. We've argued constantly over like the correct way that the dishwasher should be loaded. And I hate the way his clothes smell when he comes home from work because he works in hospitality and like restaurants. And I did tell him that the other day. And I had been holding that in for a while.
Good.
So,
Who's the neat freak
communication.
in your relationship? You or him?
Both of us once every 2 weeks when the apartment is a tornado.
Oh.
Huh, okay.
Okay. You guys are lucky. That's a good.
Yeah.
That you guys are similar.
Yeah.
Are you more excited for your honeymoon or your wedding?
The wedding, but we just started planning the honeymoon like 2 days ago. I'm getting very excited for it, but there's been so much work going into the wedding. I
Have to say.
it's gotta. I hope it's great. I hope I have a good time.
You will. You will.
I hope it's a beautiful day.
Thank you.
What would you say is your most unique trait?
I think it's a combination of like my passion and my drive. And the fact that like I figured out this thing that I wanted to do and decided like, oh, I'm going to go pursue this and like turn it into a job. And I think there were so many versions of me that wanted to do that with so many different things because like, when I love something, I love it like so deeply and want to make it as big, as special, as great as it can be. And I think that not many people are that way. And even when they are, I don't think most people take it to the level that I take things to.
We're very similar.
Bravo.
In that way.
Bravo.
I love that.
What's the best way to cheer you up when you're having a bad day?
Oh, Barkley Cuddles,
Her dog.
my dog.
What type of dog do you have?
He's a Shih Tzu Bichon,
Oh.
we call him a fluffed animal,
Oh, yeah. So
a
cute.
fluffy stuffed animal. But Barkley cuddles and like a piece of chocolate. I'm
I
simple.
have great chocolate
Oh,
in-
yeah.
for a surprise for you for
Yes.
Liz.
Great.
Oh my God, so
I'll
good.
give you a goodie bag.
Oh boy.
Favorite movie of all time?
A Cinderella story.
You're the same person with Hilary Duff? No. I don't think you understand. What's his name?
Chad Michael Murray.
Those are my two childhood crush, Nick and Jess.
Best.
The last question is, what is the coolest thing you've ever done?
Interview the Jonas Brothers on my podcast.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
I'd like to say that I've seen people in the right place and that people that are getting there, you really have an amazing mindset. You're very wise. You've got a lot of intelligence to share. So for all your followers, for all Remy's followers, they should really look up to you and listen to you because you've got a lot of very smart things to say.
Amen. So tell us, where can they find you to learn all of these brilliant things?
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And you guys, has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me. You guys can listen to Seeing Other People wherever you listen to podcasts. You can listen to Life in Progress wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to find me, I can be found at Seeing Other People. It's Life in Progress or Ilana Dunn on Instagram and TikTok.
Fabulous. Thank you. You are my spirit animal soulmate. Obsessed with you. Can't wait for everything that's
Back at you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. We hope you liked it as much as we did. Now go send it to someone who needs to hear it, because we know that dating, relationships, marriage can be tough, but we want to make it less tough. And remember, you're allowed to hate your husband. Whatever you're feeling is allowed. So go send it to a friend, to your sister, your brother, maybe your boyfriend, a husband, whoever needs to hear this, send it to them. And while you're at it, click the follow button, click the review button. Always feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and we're so excited to see you in our next episode.